Hey friends, it's me, Ginger, and I want to go through Judges chapter 3 with you. So remember in chapter 2, it kind of goes back in time where Joshua is still alive. And anyway, we talked about how when Joshua did die, the people served Baal. Anyway. Who is the false god of the Canaanite people, which is many people groups that lived in the area. Remember, each little area had its own king. So each city-state, there are many of them, has their own king. So I bought a couple books of maps. I'm going to buy more, and then I'll do maybe a little book review for you. I know I saw it was a long time ago, but I saw a Bible map app, which seemed really great, but I feel like I'm going to need color copies, and I don't have a printer in my house and all of that. But this map, it comes from this student Bible atlas. It was a cheap little $10 atlas, but I do like it. And I'll go through this and some other books that I bought. But this map deals with Israel entering Canaan. Kitty, could you move out of the way? Thank you. So anyway, this is going to be helpful. But it goes through there's a lot of the cities listed, and, each one of them had a king. And then these are the tribal lands. This is the country of Israel. If you can see, there's the tribe of Asher, Naphtali. Get out of the way, Kitty. Kitty, go on. Mommy is trying to show these guys the map. Okay, so Asher, Naphtali, Dan, East Manasseh. Kitty, you're making me mad. Okay, and then we have Zebulun, Issachar, Manasseh. That's one of the sons of Joseph, and the lands are separated here. Look at how much land they got. And then Ephraim, Benjamin, Dan. I can't see backwards here. Judah, Simeon. We're going to be talking about the land of Moab some today, and that's this land over here. Reuben had that one. What am I missing? Gad is above Reuben here. Simeon way down here. And Judah had a large piece of land with Simeon right in the middle of it. Remember how when the people went in, they went in to take over some of the other, or to kick out some of the other people groups, they had not yet done so, and God told Judah to do it because he would give them into Judah's hand. And Judah asked his brother tribe, some of their people, the tribal leaders here asked the tribal leaders there to help, and they did. So anyway, but remember, I have goop on my iPad there. They still didn't kick out everybody. Some of the other tribes really needed to kick out some of the other people, and because they did not do so, it was really a thorn in their side. They turned away from God. They would worship the Baals. And remember, the Baals were false gods, and Asherahs, I might not be saying that right. That's the female version. And they would actually sacrifice their own children by fire. By fire, they'd burn them to death. You can learn more about that if you want to Google it. But it was bad. And so, anyway, let's read Judges chapter 3. Remember, now we're going to get into the first Judges. Remember the theme of the book in chapter 2. Then the Lord raised up judges who delivered them from the hands of those who plundered them. I kind of feel like, and I'll probably lose a couple viewers here, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's just a thought. I feel like in our country we've been so sinful, and a lot of people don't even know it because they're biblically illiterate. I really desire everybody to be biblically literate. But anyway, it's such a, we've had such messes. And I kind of feel like these judges, they were sent to help the people, to get them back on track, and to deliver them from their enemies. And then the people throughout this book, once the judge dies, they'll have times of refreshing and times of peace, and they'll follow the Lord again. And then when the judge dies, they'll get back off track. They'll worship the Baals, which is horrifying. Remember, the Baals are sacrificing their own children. And then God would, turn away, and then they would have all kinds of problems. The people God would give them into the hand of their enemies. The people would harass them. They would cry out to God for help. He would show mercy on them again, and then he would rise up a new judge, and the situation would repeat itself. So I feel like, in a way, I feel like Donald Trump is sort of like a judge type figure. Not that, these are not judges that judge in the way that a judge in a courtroom would. These are like deliverers or helpers, or people who come, military leaders who come to help the people and get them back on track and drive out the enemy who might be harassing them. I kind of sense that. But anyway, I probably lost a couple people there, but you should listen anyway, because you need to be biblically literate. So anyway, let me read. Remember, I'm reading there's several good Bible translations. Not all Bibles you buy on the shelf are translations. Some are paraphrases, like the New Living Translation. It's not really I've read it. I've read the old one, but it's not really a translation, but a paraphrase. But especially if you're someone who struggles with reading or struggles with understanding, sometimes it's okay to start with a paraphrase because the reading's easier, but then just realize it's someone's interpretation. So it's good to get back to an actual translation. I love this one. It's a word-for-word translation, and another really, this is the New American Standard Bible. And another really good one, Kitty. He's playing with the ribbon, look. Oh my goodness. So anyway, another really good one that's similar to this is the English Standard Version. When I was a kid, and also a high school kid, and also a young adult, I read the NIV all the time. That was really the New International Version. That was really the popular one at the time. It's not really as popular as it used to be. And I hardly ever study it now, although I might reference it on occasion. But it's a combination between word for word and thought for thought, that translation. Okay, let me read this, and I'm going to go with the beginning of chapter 3. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to test Israel by them, that is, all who had not experienced any of the wars of Canaan. Now remember, behind the victories, behind, the people that were driven out, the source of victory was God himself. Even though he sent Judah to do it, we already read that the Lord gave these people groups into Judah's hand. He fought the battle for them, kind of like David and Goliath. He fought the battle for them. But anyway, so let me read it again. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to test Israel by them, that is, all who had not experienced any of the wars of Canaan. I'm petting my kitty here. Only in order that the generations of the sons of Israel might be taught war, those who had not experienced it formerly. Remember, a whole generation has passed. Joshua is no longer here. At this point, Caleb is not here anymore, I don't think. Although the judge is his son-in-law, so maybe he is. But generally speaking, that generation had passed, and the new ones are here. The nations are the 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites and Sidonians and the Hivites who lived in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon as far as Lebo Hamath. They were for testing Israel, to find out if they would obey the commandments of the Lord, which he had commanded their fathers through Moses. So the nations that God did not drive out, he used them to test Israel. Would they obey God? Would they drive them out? Look at this baby. Look at Kitty. Look. Okay. The sons of Israel lived among the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The Jebusites actually lived in what is now Israel, or Jerusalem. The sons of Israel lived among the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And they took their daughters for themselves as wives, and gave their own daughters to their sons, and served their gods. That was such a big mistake. They should not have intermarried with these people. They were not supposed to do that. And because of religious reasons. These people could have converted to Judaism and worshiped the one true God, but they chose not to. And then they could have married him. But when they intermarried with these folks, it was just, they were bound to serve their gods, their false gods. These people just couldn't resist. There must have been some kind of temptation or some sinful alluring to these, to worship these false gods. Sin can be alluring. It can seem like it's mysterious and interesting. And I'll give you an example. It wasn't alluring to me. I wanted to get out of there. Trust me. Anyway, I was in a workshop yesterday, and this lady, I thought it was like self-care, and I love stuff like that, always proactive on keeping my thoughts good, and protecting your own mental health, and taking care of oneself, and others. I'm into stuff like that. So it was kind of, when I went to this workshop, it was sort of mislabeled, because the name of it wouldn't lead you to believe it was all about meditation. And when I got in there, and this lady, she was clearly kind of new agey in personality. She was very young. And she started talking about meditation, and she's like, "Did you know this was about meditation?" And I'm like, some of us were shaking our head. Anyway, I'm like, because she was saying, she was like, she was going through like what people believe that could be false about meditation. And one of her things that she said was false about it is that it was religious. She said it can be, but it's not necessarily. It is, guys. It's, one of the things she said was, she started the people that were with me on this exercise, like a little tiny meditation exercise. I mean, I listened to her for a while because she talked a lot. She talked a lot about herself, and I'm like, well, I'm curious I'm just, out of curiosity, I wonder what she's going to say. But I knew I was probably going to get out of there. So, anyway, she had the people in the room. I didn't participate. She had the people in the room, close their eyes and breathe in deeply. And she said that there's no right, there's no wrong. Things just are. They're not good. They're not bad. They just are. And I'm thinking to myself, so if somebody ran in and stabbed someone and they were bleeding out, it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be good. It would just be. I mean, it was just, that kind of thing for some can be very alluring, because she comes off as someone who is going to have this deep peace. And I mean, this is the way she talked. Anyway, I live near Crestone, Colorado, and it's full of stuff like that. And for many people, it is alluring. And even Christians can fall into stuff like that. But I knew it's not something for the Christian person. So while she was doing that exercise, I think she got to a point, I was just kind of watching her. And she got to a point where she said, breathe in again and feel the temperature of the air on your nostrils. And I walked out. I didn't disrupt her, it's a free country. But I didn't disrupt her class or make any big scene, but I just kind of walked out. So anyway, but for many people, even a believer, especially if they're biblically illiterate, they might think that's okay, you know? She told them it was non-religious. Well, the second she said nothing's good, nothing's bad, it just is. That was religious right there. That goes against biblical teaching right there. And it's a deception of Satan to think that. So anyway, I kind of got off on a tangent, but my point is that evil can be alluring. And I'm sure they came up with many, many, many good reasons why it was okay to burn those children to death, you know? They had reasons for doing that, just the way that people have reasons for having abortions today. It's similar to that. You know, it blows me away sometimes the excuses Christians come up with for people to kill their young, their little infants. And this was the same type of allure. You know, they're led to believe it's good. It's a good thing to give your children to Baal. You know, it's a good thing because he was the god of fertility anyway, they thought, you know. And the same thing with things that Satan tricks us into today. And God pays for sin. So anyone who's done that is forgiven from their sin if they choose to accept the forgiveness of Jesus. But evil is alluring. And just like Adam and Eve eating that fruit, you know, Satan deceived them. He told them that it would be good, that it would make Eve so wise if she ate it, you know. It's not bad. God, you won't die. God didn't mean that. And it was alluring. And then when Eve and Adam ate that fruit, it was a Pandora's box. Literally, it brought sin and death into the world. When your loved ones die, that's why. It's because Adam and Eve ate that fruit. And because of it, we were all born into sin. We're all Adam's seed. And so anyway, I just kind of want to pull that into this so that people understand that this was a true temptation of the Israelites who should know the Lord and not turn their back on him. But they did by worshiping these false gods. So anyway, if you're willing to give up your child to worship a false god, that's pretty serious, you know. Okay, so where was I at? Okay, so they married into their family. They did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot. Okay, it's verse 7. The sons of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God and served the Baals and Asherah. Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, so that he sold them into the hands of Cush-Ethim, king of Mesopotamia. And the sons of Israel served this king. I'm going to spell it for you. Cushanrishathim 8 years. So this was the king probably from the Two Rivers area. I don't know. Where's that? Where's the Two Rivers area? I don't know. But anyway, they ended up serving him 8 years. They weren't supposed to serve anyone. They weren't supposed to be subject to these people groups. They were supposed to run off these people groups. And if they'd ran out this king and his people, this would not have been an issue. Just saying. Okay, so, you know, we can fall for these alluring things that the culture tells us to do. I have to bring up one more example. You might think I wasn't tempted to participate in that meditation thing. But I think when I was younger, I might have fallen into something more. But anyway, I used to like to watch the show Survivor a lot. And many, many seasons ago, I mean, like earlier in the first several seasons of Survivor, I don't remember where they went. I want to say that the show was taking place, the castaways were maybe in Thailand or somewhere like that. And they took them to a Buddhist temple. And there was a big statue of Buddha there. And the people, I think there were like Buddhists there and Buddhist monks and things like that. And they were worshiping. Now, they might not call it that, but they were like bowing down to this Buddhist idol. And there was a Christian woman in the group. And she went up there. And she was feeling convicted. but she started to bow down to the Buddha. But she didn't. She stopped herself and she walked away and refused to participate. She was given heck for it later by her group, but she said it felt like worship to me, and I'm a Christian and I can't bow down to a false god. And so she did make the right decision in the end, but because of the pressure, it was alluring to her. She was almost lured into it. So it's very easy for a Christian to fall into this kind of crap. It could be. So anyway, let me go to verse 9. Now this is the first judge. Okay, this kind of crap is going on. And they were subject to this Cushan Rishathaim, this king, for 8 years. He was ruling over them, basically. And so I'm sure they cried out, and God sent a judge to help them. Okay, and the first judge is Othniel. And we talked about Othniel, okay? When the sons of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a deliverer for the sons of Israel to deliver them, Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. So remember, Caleb's younger brother married his daughter because that Caleb offered his daughter's hand in marriage to anyone who would take over the city of Kiryas Scepter, and his nephew did. So he got Caleb's daughter as a wife. Okay, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. This is Othniel, the judge, and he judged Israel. When he went out to war, the Lord gave Cushan Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. So he prevailed over Cushan Rishathaim. I wonder how close I am to saying that right, or how far off I am to saying that right. So Othniel is raised up, and he takes over this king. He defeats this king, okay? Then the land had rest 40 years, and Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. So 40 years of rest. 40 years of, that's a lot of time, considering how they had been harassed, for 8 years, and that was traumatic for them. 40 years of rest, but then Othniel died, okay? Let me finish this little section. Now the sons of, these people, they just fall right back into it again. As long as they had him there as their leader and as their judge or deliverer, they were good, but when he died, they fell back into it. Now the sons of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. Okay, so because they were doing evil again, turning their back on God, not putting their faith in him, but worshiping false gods instead, the Lord strengthened their enemy. This enemy is Eglon, the king of Moab. Now let me tell you a little bit about Moab. Do you see this area? This is the land that was allotted to the tribe of Reuben. Can you see it right there? It's right by the Dead Sea. And this is east of the Dead Sea. On this map, it looks like this, Moab. But the tribe of Reuben was there. Now, Reuben was the first son of Jacob and the first in birth order of the tribes. Remember, these sons of Jacob are no longer here. These are their tribes, which came, their descendants. Mount Nebo is right there. I've been to Mount Nebo. I've been on the top of Mount Nebo. Now, Mount Nebo, this is modern day Jordan. Okay, so this is modern day Jordan. It's not modern day Israel, it's modern day Jordan. So you can cross over from Israel into Jordan. I don't remember, I went to Jordan, but I can't remember all the details. But anyway, so if you go to modern day Jordan on a vacation or like a Bible study tour or something like that, you'll be there. So the king of that area, now this didn't seem like a city-state. I don't know if you'll notice this. If Kitty will get out of the way for a minute. Move, Kitty. So look at this. Do you see how much more helpful it is to have maps? I bought several books. Well, I bought a couple, and I'll buy a couple more books of Bible maps. They're just too handy. I have the one that I used to show you guys, but it only had a couple maps in it. But anyway, I'll pull that one out too. But see, all these city-states, they have a red dot by them. Well, Moab doesn't. It's more like, I don't know, is it just more like a territory or something? I tried to read up more on that, but it doesn't. It seems a little bit bigger area than just a city-state. But anyway, so this king of Eglon, God actually strengthened the enemy because his people turned their back on him. He's like, well, I'll just enable your enemy to come in and defeat you then. Okay? God is a very jealous God. Read the Ten Commandments. He's a jealous God. Okay, and he gathered to himself the sons of Ammon and Amalek, and he went and defeated Israel, and they possessed the city of the palm trees. Let me back up and read those two verses again, 12 and 13. Now the sons of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered to himself the sons of Ammon and Amalek, and he went and defeated Israel, and they possessed the city of palm trees. The sons of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 8 years. So remember, the first king of Mesopotamia, they served 8 years. Now God strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, and because he was strengthened against the people of Israel who were not following their own God. If we don't follow God, things don't go right for us. Or if they do, it's deception of Satan, right? So anyway, so they served Eglon, the king of Moab, the king down in here, for 18 years. That's a long time. You know, you're 18 when you graduate from high school. So it's a long time to be under people they should have kicked out. How many people here in the United States are causing havoc that we should have kicked out a long time ago? You know, I just find the comparisons very interesting. So anyway, so that happened. But what happens every single time? They cry out, the Lord help us. They all of a sudden remember him when they're in trouble, and he will send another deliverer. Now this is going to be the second judge, and his name is Ehud, E-H-U-D. But when the sons of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a deliverer for them. So remember, these judges are deliverers, not judges like in a courtroom, but they're deliverers. But when the sons of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a deliverer for them, Ehud the son of Gera, the Benjamite, a left-handed man. And the sons of Israel sent tribute by him to Eglon, the king of Moab. This is so interesting. I know we're 28 minutes in, but we got to study Ehud. He's just too interesting. So, okay. So God raises up a new deliverer, or a new judge, Ehud. And he is a Benjaminite. Benjamin was the youngest of the sons of Jacob, the youngest of the tribal leaders when the tribes were new. So remember the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. And then the tribe of Joseph eventually became Manasseh and Ephraim. But Benjamin, this Ehud, he comes from the Benjaminites, which was the youngest son's tribe. Okay. Ehud made, look at Kitty. He's got his little paws on top of my scriptures. I'm having to move him so I can read. Ehud made himself a sword, which had 2 edges, a cubit in length, and he bound it on his right thigh under his cloak, which would have been the normal place to put the sword. On your right hand under his cloak, or his outer garment. He presented the tribute. Let's see. I skipped one. Let me go back up to 15. But when the sons of Israel cried to the Lord raised up a deliverer for them, Ehud the son of Gera, the Benjaminite, a left-handed man. That is significant that he's a left-handed man. And the sons of Israel sent tribute by him to Eglon, the king of Moab. So they're sending some kind of tribute to Eglon, the king of Moab. This is a setup. Ehud knows what he's doing as far as a military guy. He knows what he's doing. They're taking a tribute. Maybe it's gifts. I don't know what kind of tribute it was. Maybe it was gifts of some sort, okay? So he goes to present this tribute, and he has a sword because he made himself a two-edged sword, okay? He presented the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now, Eglon was a very fat man. It came about when he had finished presenting the tribute that he sent away the people who had carried the tribute. So Ehud, he sends away his men who carried the tribute. It must have been some kind of tribute if he needed more than one man to carry it. If men carried it, I wonder what it was. What kind of gifts did he bring to honor this king that's harassing him, okay? But he himself, so Ehud stays there, he sends the men away. But he himself turned back from the idols which were at Gilgal. And said, okay, I think I understand this passage. I was a little confused about it before. Okay, so here's Moab. Okay. And they bring a tribute to the king. Ehud and his men bring a tribute to the king. And the king that's been harassing them. This is King Eglon. Okay, Eglon. So, but then they leave. He sends the men away. It sounds like he goes with them. And then they get to Gilgal. There's idols in Gilgal. Probably some of those, there were other gods they worshiped too, but it was mostly these Baal type gods. So maybe some idols of Baal or Asherah. And his idols looked like bulls. So anyway, once he got there, he turned back. Ehud, the judge, turned back and went back to the king, okay? So it came about when he had finished presenting the tribute that he sent the people who had carried the tribute. But he himself turned back from the idols which were at Gilgal and said, I have a secret message for you, O king. So he goes back alone to the king. And he said, keep silence. And all who attended him left him. This is fascinating. He knows how to get that king alone. He's brought this king all these gifts, and he knows how to get him alone. Like, I have a secret message for you. He's almost pretending like he's on, that he is on Eglon's, the evil king's side. He brought him all these gifts. He's now I got a secret message for you. I sent the other guys away. I've got a secret message for you. And because the king is buying into it, and so he sends his men away. So they're alone. So there's Ehud, the judge of Israel, and Eglon, the evil king. It came about when he had finished presenting the tribute. Okay, where am I at? Okay, so all of Eglon's men left. Ehud came to him while he was sitting alone in his cool roof chamber. And Ehud said, I have a message from God for you. And he arose from his seat. So Ehud arose from his seat. Ehud stretched out his left hand. He's left-handed. Remember, his sword is on his right. So he reaches, usually people are right-handed, and if you reach for your sword, you're going to pull it out with your right hand. He goes like this. Ehud stretched out his left hand, took the sword from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. So he stabs the evil king, Eglon, with this sword. The handle also went in after the blade, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not draw the sword out of his belly, and the refuse came out. So all the, defecation came out of his body. Nasty. And that sword, I don't know how long it was, but it was swallowed up by Eglon's fat. He was such a fat man. Then Ehud went out into the vestibule and shut the doors of the roof chamber behind him and locked them. So he locked the king into the roof chamber. When he had gone out, his servants came and looked, and behold, the doors of the roof chamber were locked, And they said, he's only relieving himself in the cool room. Maybe, I don't know how they relieve themselves. Maybe they had chamber pots or something really weird. But they might have been able to smell that, because it might have smelled like he just relieved himself, because all this refuse came out of him when he was stabbed. They waited until they became anxious because it's taking so long. Like, what's wrong with the king? But behold, he did not open the doors of the roof chamber. Therefore they took the key and opened them. And behold, their master had fallen to the floor dead. Now Ehud escaped while they were delaying, and he passed by the idols and escaped to Seirah, Seirah. So Ehud, he locked the door, made it look like the king was maybe relieving himself. The men didn't want to interrupt the king, and so they waited and waited before they got in there and checked on him. And in the meantime, Israel's judge Ehud escaped to Seirah. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Seirah. Now, this is not on my map, but I found out where it was, okay? So, well, sort of where it was. It's north and west of Jericho. Jericho is also called the City of Palms. So remember these idols. The other man had gone to Gilgal, and then Ehud the judge turned back and went back to Moab. Well, Jericho's right there. That's the City of Palms, right by it. And then this city, the one that I just told you about, Seirah, Seirah, it is north and west of Jericho. So you're going to have to go north of Jericho, and you're going to have to go west of Jericho somewhere. So north, maybe over here it's going to be north of Jericho, maybe over here somewhere, but I wish it were listed on our map. Okay. It came about when he had arrived that he blew the trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim. Okay, here's Ephraim. So the judge, Ehud, he goes to the hill country of Ephraim. Here's the tribal land of Ephraim. Okay. He goes over there, keeping in mind, Israel's a tiny country, guys. If you go there and walk from place to place, you'll understand how it is a tiny country. Okay, so he goes there and he blows the trumpet. He blew the trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim, and the sons of Israel went down with him from the hill country, and he was in front of them. So he's instructing them. He blows the trumpet to gather the leaders. He said to them, pursue them, for the Lord has given your enemies, the Moabites, into your hands. So they went down after him and seized the fords of the Jordan opposite Moab, and did not allow anyone to cross. They struck down at that time 10,000 Moabites, all robust and valiant men, and no one escaped. So they killed off these Moabites. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land was undisturbed for 80 years. This gave them 80 years of peace, guys. Killing all those Moabites, it gave them 80 years of peace. Now, I want to explain to you who they killed. Okay, the Moabites, they were descendants of Lot. Do you remember Lot, Abraham's nephew, whose wife was turned to a pillar of salt? He escaped from Sodom and Gomorrah, and his wife turned back, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. He escaped with his daughters, and they were settling in Moab, in there. Okay, and anyway, there was a terrible incestual situation, and Lot's oldest daughter gave birth to Moab. I think his name was Moab. Anyway, that's the descendants of Moab. So it's Lot's children and grandchildren. That's the Moabites. And I think as a people, they pretty much died out. Probably largely because of this event, because they killed 10,000 valiant Moabites. So anyway, this gave them peace for 80 years. And I'm sure that the judge, Ehud, did not live 80 years past this event. But even after his death, we can discern that he died. We can figure that much out. But they had peace 80 years. Just by getting rid of this ridiculous people group, they had peace for 80 years. So anyway, those are your first two judges. Othniel, the nephew of Caleb, and the son-in-law of Caleb, and Ehud, who is a Benjaminite. Those are the mighty leader Ehud was. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I will come back with the rest of chapter 3, and we'll go into the third judge. Ponder these things. It's very empowering to be biblically literate. So that's one reason I do these, is because I really want people to read the Bible and learn from it. It has powerful truths in it, and it changes you. It'll change you. You won't be the same person, and your eyes will be enlightened, and it's God's message to you. It's God's message to mankind. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week.